Our family owns a small cabin nestled in the mountains of Montana. My parents, both passionate snowboarders, bought it long before I came into the picture. The cabin's weathered logs and creaky floors tell the story of its age, over 50 years old now. It's not much to look at anymore, with peeling paint and a roof that's seen better days, but my mom insists on keeping it standing. She's patched it up over the years, though she often talks about tearing it down and starting fresh. I leave those decisions to her. This story, though, goes back about 12 years, to when I was 9 and my sister, Lily, was 13. It was during a brutal snowstorm that hit one winter, blanketing the mountains in white. The snow was coming down hard that day, piling up fast, but Lily and I couldn't resist heading outside. The cabin sits on a wide, open plot, surrounded by dense pine forests that stretch out in every direction. A narrow, winding path leads from our place to a handful of other cabins nearby, though most of them sit empty during the off-season. It's the kind of place that feels like a playground for kids, perfect for building forts, racing through the snow, or inventing our own games. That day, Lily and I decided to play a game we called Snow Raiders. The rules were simple: we'd each build a base, stash a treasure, usually just a big snowball we'd spent time shaping, and try to raid the other's camp to steal it. We'd pick our spots and let each other know where we'd set up, then the game was on. Lily chose her base near an old shed on the edge of our property, close to where the path curved toward the next cabin. I set mine up behind a cluster of trees near the cabin's back porch. Once we were ready, Lily took off through the snow toward her spot, her figure quickly swallowed up by the swirling flakes. The plan was for her to signal me with a loud shout when she was set, and then I'd start my raid. I waited, crouched behind my little snow wall, clutching my treasure snowball. Minutes ticked by, 5, then 10. The wind howled, carrying snow into my face, but there was no shout. I figured maybe the storm was drowning out her voice, so I decided to make my move anyway. I trudged through the snow, sticking to the path for safety. The idea of cutting through the woods in that weather didn't sit right with me, not at 9 years old, not with the trees looming like shadowy giants in the storm. As I neared the shed, I squinted through the blizzard, expecting to see Lily's fort. It was there, all right, a lumpy wall of snow with her treasure snowball perched behind it. But Lily wasn't. I scanned the area, the bare trees offering no cover for her to hide behind. She was just gone. Before I could call out, a voice cut through the wind. "Hey, little one, are you lost?" I spun around and saw a man standing at the edge of the next cabin's porch, maybe 20 yards away. He was tall, bundled in a heavy coat, his face half hidden under a hood. His voice was low and raspy, like he'd been shouting into the storm for hours. I shouted back that I was looking for my sister, my words nearly lost in the gusts. He tilted his head and said, "She's not out here. Why don't you come warm up inside?" I took a step closer, trying to get a better look at him. The snow stung my eyes, but as I approached, I noticed something else, a faint light flickering in one of the cabin's upper windows. For a split second, I thought I saw a shape there, someone peering down at me. It could have been Lily, but the figure was too still, too strange, with a dark scarf or something wrapped around their head. Then I saw the footprints, fresh ones, leading from Lily's fort straight to the cabin's porch. My stomach twisted. The man smiled, but it didn't feel right. It was too wide, too stiff, like a mask that didn't fit. He waved me toward the door, his gloved hand beckoning. "Come on, it's too cold out here," he said. I froze. Something in my gut screamed at me to run. I yelled, "Lily," as loud as I could, my voice cracking against the wind. The man's smile dropped, and his eyes narrowed. Then I heard it, thumping, heavy steps from inside the cabin, like someone big was stomping down the stairs. I didn't wait to see who it was. I turned and bolted, following my own footprints back along the path. The man shouted something behind me, but the words were garbled, swallowed by the storm. I glanced over my shoulder once, just long enough to see that the figure in the window was gone. My legs burned as I pushed through the snow, my breath fogging in front of me. Then, faintly, I heard my mom's voice calling my name, sharp and urgent, cutting through the chaos of the storm. When I stumbled back to our cabin, Mom and Lily were already there, standing on the porch. Lily's face was pale, her eyes wide. Before I could even catch my breath, she grabbed my arm and whispered, "There was a man. He told me to come inside that cabin." My heart sank. I told her I'd seen him too, the same offer, the same creepy vibe. Mom didn't waste a second. She grabbed a shovel from the porch, told us to stay put, and marched down the path toward the neighbor's cabin. We huddled inside, peering out the frosted windows, waiting. It felt like forever before Mom came back. Her face was grim when she stepped through the door. She said the cabin's front door was shut tight, no answer when she pounded on it. She'd circled around and found the back door ajar, swinging in the wind, but no one was inside. She'd called the closest neighbor we knew, a gruff old guy who lived a mile down the road, and he'd gotten in touch with the cabin's owners. That's when the real chills set in. The owners hadn't been up there in months. No one was supposed to be in that cabin. The police came later, trudging through the snow to check it out. Lily and I had to talk to them, describing the man, the coat, the hood, that awful smile. They searched the place top to bottom but found nothing. No footprints inside, no sign anyone had been there. The snow had covered everything by then, erasing whatever tracks we'd seen. After that, Mom and Dad made sure we never went near that cabin again. They even started locking up anything valuable in our own place, just in case. Years later, I still think about that day, the man's voice, the figure in the window, the way the storm seemed to hide something dark. Lily and I never played Snow Raiders again. And every time we go back to that cabin, I can't help but glance down the path, half expecting to see someone standing there, watching. Thank God we didn't step inside that house.